1 minute, 50 seconds. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. The big stories tonight. A day after meeting the President and his supposed successor, Representative Lord Alan Velasco, Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano offers to step down as House Speaker. The plenary rejected his offer. The Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, calls on COMELEC and the Office of the Solicitor General to comment on pending issues on the poll protest lodged by defeated candidate Bongbong Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo. Prepare for a longer and more tedious trip to Boracay. The island destination will reopen its shores to local tourists in less than 24 hours. As discussions continue about easing restrictions in the metro or opening up more industries, a survey has seen compliance to health protocols declining. And the U.S. presidential debate kicks off to a chaotic start as both candidates resort to mudslinging. We begin tonight with the continuing squabble over the House leadership. House Speaker Alex Peter Cayetano offered to resign to give way to Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco. The majority of lawmakers said no to his offer. Via Fernandez has the big story.
As tension continues to grow in the House speakership row, Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano thought of a solution to resolve this.
So I'm offering my resignation here and now to you, my dear colleagues. My fate and the fate of the 2021 budget and the fate of the leadership of the House is in your hands.
But his proposal was swiftly rejected by lawmakers through viva voce following the motion of Anacolusuga Representative Mike Defensor. The voting was even set nominally to remove doubts with a vote of 184-1 with 9 abstentions. The plenary rejected Cayetano's resignation. One of those who voted for Cayetano was his known critic, Buhay Representative Lito Atienza. He said Cayetano should not resign for now.
My vote is yes, because it is not the time to handle this very sensitive issue. He should resign on October 14.
Prior to this, Cayetano delivered a speech that lasted almost an hour. He detailed his account of what transpired during the meeting with President Rodrigo Duterte on Tuesday night. Cayetano claimed that Duterte repeatedly asked Velasco to move the speakership turnover to December so as not to affect the ongoing budget deliberations. The sitting House Speaker also said he negotiated with Velasco to do it at least past his 50th birthday on November 15.
I have 2 budgets na ipapasa and magba-birthday ako na ako speaker. Sabi niya birthday ko rin eh. Sabi ko, pare, 50th birthday ko, sentimental lang sa akin. Sabi niya, babaw mo naman. Sabi ko, mababaw talaga ako.
Still, he said, Velasco is determined to take over his post by October 14. Velasco also refused to accept the senior deputy speaker post, which was offered by Cayetano so they could easily transition. Supporters of Velasco were nowhere to be seen during Cayetano's speech. News came out that Velasco is already set to replace Cayetano by October 14. The information came from one of his allies present in the meeting at Malacanang. We have been trying to reach out to the camp of Velasco to ask for comments. But previously, Representative Doy Leachon said they do not want to make a big deal out of the continuous attacks from Cayetano's camp.
Hindi na namin i-dignify yung ganon. Even I think the president was also affected in the same way I was affected also. But okay na yun. Ganun lang naman talaga yun.
With these developments, the House decided to suspend budget deliberations until 10 a.m. Friday. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
After intervening in the speakership, Ms. Malacanang said the president is now taking his hands off the issue. Palace spokesman Harry Roque said the matter is purely an internal affair of the lower house and that the president will respect the vote of representatives to reject the resignation of House Speaker Alex Peter Cayetano. The Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, ordered the COMELEC and the Office of the Solicitor General to comment on a protest filed by former Senator Bongbong Marcos, who lost the vice presidential race in 2016. This is regarding the Marcos camp's third cause of action, which was to nullify the election results in the Mindanao provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao, allegedly due to voter harassment, terrorism, intimidation, and pre-shading of ballots. In a statement, the camp of Senator Marcos welcomed the PET's assertion on the validity of their cause of action, but they insisted that the move will only further delay their protest with a little over a year left until the next national elections. It's welcome news, on the other hand, for the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo. According to one of her lawyers, the fight for the second highest government seat in the country has long been won by Robredo. In less than 30 minutes, the Senate Committee on Finance voted to restore the 44 million pesos that the DBM had slashed from the proposed 2021 budget of the Office of the Vice President. The Budget Department only approved around 680 million pesos for the OVP's requested funding of 723 million pesos. Vice President Leni Robredo told senators that the budget cut by the DBM was supposed to be used for the procurement of 6 vehicles, while a portion was to be used for research and development.
I was intimating to some of you before we started that for our relief operations, we have been using the private vehicles of our staff already.
Robredo's party mate, Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon, moved to restore the original budget requested by the OVP. This move was supported by other senators. Senators Nancy Binay and Sani Angara proposed that a permanent office be built for the Vice President to give the second highest government official in the land more dignity. Binay, the daughter of former VP Jejomar Binay, also talked about the struggles of a small budget for the office.
Ang lagi niyang reklamo, mas malaki pa yung budget ng barangay namin sa Makati kaysa sa budget ng Vice President. So parang lagi na sinasabi na parang demotion sa kanya from a billion budget to, I think, nung nag-start siya, parang budget niya was only 200 million or 300 million. So I would just like to manifest na talaga I fully support hindi nga increasing just to, kung kailangan i-increase, I will also support that move by the chair.
No more grace period. Water concessionaires will be sending out disconnection notices starting tomorrow for those with unsettled bills. Does this mean that lines will be immediately disconnected? Shaila Francisco tells us.
Bonnie's water bill during the enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila reached more than 11,000 pesos. He has yet to settle this until now. The same goes with Mark, who has a remaining balance of 3,400 pesos from his total ECQ bill of 16,000 pesos. Both of them are hoping that water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water will extend today's payment deadline.
Kung bibigyan pa ako ng pagkakataon kahit mga 2 months or 3 months extension, mas better yun, mas maraming matutuwa. Malaki tulong na yun sa taong bayan.
Unfortunately, payment deadlines for water bills with due dates between March and May will no longer be extended. This means customers who have not settled their ECQ bills may start receiving disconnection notices tomorrow. The Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, or MWSS, notes that both Maynilad and Manila Water have agreed not to immediately disconnect lines. Customers will have 15 more days to settle their dues. They can also submit promissory notes to the water firms, MWSS reiterates. Meanwhile, the water regulator will be giving a 30-day grace period for bills that fell within the MECQ period of August 4 to 18 in compliance with the Bayanihan tool. Residential customers, MSMEs, and cooperatives may also avail of a 3-month installment scheme after the period.
This is the maximum that they could do without jeopardizing their operations. Because if their cash flow is severely affected, it's actually severely affected right now, but if it's affected some more, if it worsens, then it might affect the operations already or the services that they are rendering to the public.
Laban Consumer says the order should have still included ECQ bills.
Kung gusto po talaga natin tulungan yung mga consumers na hikahus pa sa pagbayad dahil hindi pa nakabalik sa trabaho, kulang pa ang pambayad ng pera, nitpicking nila yung pag-implement ng batas.
Manila Water says they will see clarification on the installment scheme, especially as some of its customers have sought up to 6-month extension through promissory notes. For its part, Maynilad advises consumers to send their promissory notes if they will still be unable to pay within the 3-month installment period.
So hindi kasi po ito 3 months extension or 3 months installment, tapos may PN uli sa kasunod. Hindi po ganun yung magiging proseso. Ngayon na nila kunin yung PN.
Shaila Francisco, VR1 News.
We'll take a quick break. When the big story returns, let's take a peek at what's going on in Boracay with just a few hours before it officially reopens to local tourists. And up north, Bago is also preparing as it once again accepts tourists from the Ilocos region starting tomorrow. Their preparations next. Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. After months of lockdown, Boracay is finally reopening its doors to domestic tourists. In line with this, the Tourism Department and the Malaya Plan LGU assure that strict protocols will be implemented. To give us the details, we have with us Jenny Dogon reporting live from Boracay. Jenny.
Robbie, it's all systems go for tomorrow's reopening of Boracay Island to tourists coming from all over the country. Locals say that although they are excited for the reopening or the return of their livelihood, they are still or they will remain cautious in interacting with tourists due to COVID-19 pandemic.
The pristine islands of Boracay will not be reached by tourists without the services of workers like Jubel, whose boat brings visitors to different sites in the famous tourist destination. Jubel said his months of financial struggle will finally be eased, but he admits hesitating going back to work.
Excited na sir para sa pagbukas ng Boracay sir. Para may trabaho na yung mga ibang tao dito. na nawala ng trabaho sa pandemic.
The local government of Aklan said they are making sure that visitors will follow required protocols upon entering the island. Since June 16, Boracay has been open only to tourists from Western Visayas. The tourism department said allowing more locals will help boost the tourism economy of the island little by little. Over 200 hotels with more than 4,000 rooms will be open for visitors. The DOT said they will implement a test before travel rule, requiring a negative RT-PCR test result 48 to 72 hours before traveling to Boracay. After taking the test, visitors are required to self-isolate. Once results are out, tourists will be asked to go to Aklan's website at aklan.gov.ph to fill out an online declaration form that will be submitted to touristboracay@gmail.com along with a copy of their RT-PCR result. Once verified, visitors will receive a QR pass code. It used to take just an hour to go to Boracay from Caticlan Airport, but because of health protocols, another hour has been added to the process.
Ito po yung tinatawag natin ng mga new normal natin because health and safety would always be the primary concern of everyone. So from the local government to the private sector to even the airport, the health and safety protocols, the implementation of it should always be on the highest level.
A visitor with high temperature upon arrival at the airport will be immediately separated from other tourists and will be examined by a health professional. Upon entering the island, guests will need to present their QR code for a faster and contactless process. It will also be used for medical declaration forms and contact tracing. Visitors should also expect changes in the tourist scene. There will be no more crowded shores inside, as beach parties are no longer allowed. Bars remain closed and drinking is still prohibited. Curfew hours will be implemented at 11 p.m. until 4 a.m.
Maraming salamat, that was Jenny Dongon reporting live from Boracay. The tourism department is open to imposing a localized lockdown in Boracay should COVID-19 cases be recorded on the island. Boracay is currently COVID-19 free, but should a case be reported, Secretary Berna Romulo Puya told the chief that the island's 3 stations could be put on lockdown. Besides Boracay, Puya said El Nido, Palawan might soon be open to tourists as well. She will still have a discussion with the town mayor regarding this.
So far naman yung sa El Nido, one resort is open, RT-PCR, okay naman, very good naman yung results. No positive, no outbreak. So I'm going to talk to the mayor again if she is open to opening more resorts in El Nido.
Bago City recorded 68 COVID-19 cases on September 28. The summer capital moved its opening to local tourists from Ilocos to October 1. That's tomorrow.
The spike was not because of tourism. It was because may nag-inuman sa slaughterhouse and nag-increase talaga siya. Yes. And then in fact, I said that was a blessing because it wasn't because may pumasok.
With that, it appears it's all systems go for Baguio City's reopening tomorrow. Let's get a glimpse of the preparations from Romel Lopez, who is there reporting live. Romel, what can we expect for the city's reopening?
Yes, that's right, Robbie. Baguio City is opening its door to tourism once again under the new normal. But take note that this is not for everyone, so Manileños will have to wait a little bit more. But for those coming from Ilocos region, here's what you can expect.
Upon entering Baguio City, expect checkpoints left and right with security personnel asking questions and looking for verification. Tourists will be directed to a triage area for documentation. Both authorities will first check travel documents before tourists are given triage pass. Requirements such as hotel reservations, travel pass, medical certificates, and proof of employment will be checked in different control points. These are the same documents required during the online application at the Baguio Visita web portal.
That is how we can be able to monitor kung sino yung pumapasok, so that all travels that come into Baguio are authorized. Of course, it will make a difference if suddenly, pagdating mo sa triage, may symptoms ka. Definitely, there will be a confirmatory test.
Bago City residents or those from Region 1 like Pangasinan, La Union, and the Ilocos provinces can enjoy the summer capital. Only 200 tourists will be allowed to enter Baguio at a given time under this new normal opening. Only those given a triage pass can roam in Bago City.
We have to monitor talaga who's passing through our borders. It's part of our border management. Especially that we have some increase in COVID cases lately, although it's local transmission. So we have to ensure that all of those coming in Bago City are authorized.
Inside the city, tourists are still expected to observe minimum health standards like wearing of face masks and face shield, as well as the practice of social distancing. Expect a tedious health safety process before entering the hotel. Vehicles need to be disinfected, temperatures need to be checked, and contact tracing forms must be filled up. Checking in will also be contactless, just like here at the Manor in Camp John Hay.
So pagdating nila, disinfected na kailangan yung sasakyan, pati yung luggage. And then ngayon, for check-in sa front desk, kailangan contactless na rin siya. So lahat, parang ngayon, minimal na ang contact na yung person-to-person contact. So lahat parang mabilisan. So definitely ibang-iba ang natin ngayon, yung protocols natin ngayon.
Acrylic barriers are also in place in some common areas inside the hotel. Social distancing is strictly observed in all accommodation areas like in dining places.
Nakaka-boost talaga ng moral na nag-open up slowly ang Baguio kasi imagine for how many months na hindi ka makalabas ng bahay at ngayon na-experience mo yung the old Baguio na kahit papaano nakaka-recover.
Robbie, the Bago City Tourism Office said that it is just the phase 1 of the city's reopening, and depending on its outcome, they are ready to expand its reach or to stop it if the transmission increases after the relaunch. Robbie.
Maraming salamat, Romel Lopez, reporting live from Baguio. And here are the other big stories today. The Task Force PhilHealth, led by the Department of Justice, clarifies they recommended the reorganization, not the abolition of PhilHealth. This comes after President Duterte, in a public address, threatened to abolish the agency. Justice Secretary Minato Guevara said they proposed assigning an interim management committee. Guevara also said it is still not clear if the president wants to abolish, revamp, or privatize the agency, all of which would require congressional action. The MRT Line 3 will increase its speed from 30 kilometers to 40 kilometers per hour. That's starting tomorrow, October 1st. This as new rails were installed as part of the railway's rehabilitation. MRT 3 management targets to increase the rail line's running speed by 10 kilometers per hour monthly until it reaches 60 kilometers per hour by December. This should shorten waiting time in stations from 9 minutes to 7 minutes. The manufacturer of liver spread brand Reno has apologized to the Food and Drug Administration for failing to secure a certificate of product registration. Reno has already submitted its application for registration and is now completing necessary requirements. The popular liver spread brand was banned by the FDA earlier this month for not meeting the agency's requirements. Let's pause for a quick break. When we come back, are Manileños slowly neglecting health protocols? Seems like it, at least according to the latest SWS survey. And a fierce clash ensued during the first of 3 presidential debates for the U.S. national elections. The two candidates had some choice words for each other. You are watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. The Health Department wants to further evaluate the Trade Department's proposal to allow some sectors to operate at 100% capacity. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said this has to be discussed first with the IATF. She said that this may be possible if the public will strictly adhere to minimum health protocols. The Metro Manila Council said that NCR could be placed under MGCQ should the decline in cases be sustained. Meanwhile, the DOH is expecting to present to the IATF the results of ongoing evaluations on 2 antigen test kits and the pilot use of antigen tests in Bago City. They're also coordinating with the WHO regarding the possible use of an antigen test kit from South Korea, which had previously fallen short of local qualifications but was included in the WHO's emergency listing. While most Filipinos still practice health protocols against COVID-19, an SWS survey shows that obedience to safety protocols declined in Metro Manila, the pandemic's epicenter in the country. The September survey shows that only 77% of respondents from the capital region always use their face mask. That is down by 13 percentage points from July's 90%. Only 63% of Metro Manila residents, meanwhile, practice proper hand washing. That is down from 73% in July. The proportion of those following social distancing rules in Manila also slipped to 65% in September. Nationwide, though, a huge majority still comply with health protocols, even if quarantine measures have been eased in most parts of the country. SWS says 79% of Filipinos always wear face masks, a slight increase from July's 76%. 67% meanwhile wash their hands regularly, while 59% follow social distancing rules. The road to the November elections in the United States was not exactly smooth either, with presidential candidates Joe Biden and incumbent President Donald Trump starting the race with mudslinging. During their first presidential debate, the two engaged in a fiery exchange mostly about health care. Trump claimed that Biden adopted a proposal by then Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders on socialized medicine. Trump went on to insist what his administration has done for American healthcare, but not without getting under his opponent's skin.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President,
can you let him finish, sir? No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be surprised. Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions.
Biden, who was Obama's vice president, rejected Trump's claims of lowered medicine costs under his watch. The debate carried on with Trump interrupting Biden's statements, and it did not take long for him to snap at the president.
He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about. The question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Gentlemen, we're now in.
Plain utility boxes in a neighborhood in San Francisco, California have been transformed to Filipino art pieces by a multiracial community organization. The South of Market Community Action Network, together with Filipino Education Center Galing Bata program, covered utility boxes with cultural and historical designs from the Philippines. The highlight of the installations are letters of the Abacada. The project seeks to empower the Filipino community and showcase the long-lasting history and continuous presence of Filipinos in San Francisco. And that wraps up today's Big Story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News. Good evening.